So today, here in Davidsbirdroom, we're getting to know a Mr. J. Bunker. Come on in. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Jay for taking part in getting to know. Jay, I have 7 questions here for you. The first question really is just a short introduction about yourself. Who you are and where are you from?
Hello David, Jay Bunker here from the northern climes of Canada in St. Albert, Alberta. Thank you for inviting me to be included in your series. I'm just out in the sales shed at the moment, but let us make our way inside for our little chat. You may notice that this is the only bird shed, or one of the few bird sheds that actually has a chandelier inside of it, left over from a renovation job. And it's only a brisk minus 25 today at the moment, so we'll make our way inside.
Question 2, Jay, is what birds do you currently keep?
Okay, now that we're inside, let's have a look at some of the questions that you've come up for me here. As to what kind of birds that I keep, and generally speaking, it's canaries. I also keep a goldfinch as a more or less as a pet. The type of canaries that I keep are the Fifes, Scotch Fancy, Norwich, Yorkies, lizards, Gloucesters, Waterschlager, which I keep the Waterschlagers so that I can cross them with some of my Fifes to create the Canadian singers, which have a degree of popularity out here. I also keep a few red factor canaries just to keep my hand in the color section and to provide a little variety in the bird room. I'm often asked as to why I keep so many different varieties of canaries, and it goes back to years ago when I was attending shows. I found that the majority of the birds that were on the show bench for the canary section were Gloucesters, Borders, and Fifes. And knowing full well that there was other varieties of canaries, I decided to put some of those into Alberta and start breeding them. Once I got breeding them and was successful at that, I started to move those birds into the hands of other breeders so that we could have some variety on our show benches, where we're supposed to be putting on a show, not just a display of 1 or 3 varieties of birds.
And question 3, Jay, is what first got you interested in bird keeping?
As to what it was that first got me interested in caged birds, I'd have to think about that for a minute. When I was about 12 years old, my friends and I would go down to the local trestle bridge, which was known as the high level bridge. It was only about 150 feet from the underbelly of the bridge to the water, and it was about 2,200 feet long. We would crawl along the trestles in the evening, collecting the squabs of the pigeons that were roosting there, and I would bring them home and keep them in my garage. When I had people come along and ask me what kind of pigeons I was raising there, due to my lack of knowledge, I told them that I was keeping homing pigeons because they were up on top of our home. From there, we fast forward about 30 years to an occasion when my brother came over with some zebra finches. That was because his wife no longer wanted them in the house where they would be scattering seeds on the floor. He told me that it would be a good educational experience for my children to see how the birds laid eggs and how they were hatched, etc. Needless to say, the zebra finches blossomed over a short period of time, and I had well in excess of 200 zebra finches, and that's when I decided to slow down on them. From there I ended up getting involved with the local cage bird club and would help out at their shows. One of the events at the show was an auction at the end of the show, and I was volunteered to assist with the auction. I noticed that the audience was sitting on their hands, so to encourage them to bid on the birds, I would bid on them myself. Needless to say, my plan didn't go exactly as planned, and I ended up buying Gloucesters and a number of other canaries in the process. So that was the start of where I am today.
So question 4 then, do you show your birds? And what do you get from showing them?
With regards to showing, yes, I do show my birds. I show at our local show, which is with the Northern Alberta Cage Bird Club that I started over 30 years ago. It seems for us that in the UK the shows are held in various small towns, and they're maybe about 10 or 15 kilometers away. Whereas in Canada, going to a show is a little bit more involved. I also show in Calgary, which is a nice little drive of about 300 kilometers south of us. That's the nearest show, and then from there, if I want to get more involved, I drive out to Vancouver, Victoria. That's about 1,200 plus kilometers, and that's definitely a whole weekend taken up when I go to that show. The show that I concentrate on the most is our Canadian National Show, which is held in Toronto, Ontario, and that's a mere 3,500 kilometers from my home. The show in Toronto ends up being quite a journey for my birds. There's the hour-long drive to get them to the airport. The birds have to be at the airport 3 hours before the flight. And then there's the 4-hour flight, which I am usually on as well. And then after they land, there's an hour to 2 hours wait time before you can pick up your birds. Needless to say, the birds are a little bit disheveled and shook up from a journey like that.
And question 5, Jay, is have you always had the same species of birds? And if not, what other species would you have kept in the past?
Well, with regards to what species of birds that I have kept in the past, as I've mentioned, I've gone through the finch phase. I've kept a lot of different varieties of birds. I was into softbills for quite some time, and with regards to hookbills, I had difficulty getting into hookbills. The only ones that I really connected with were the Bork parakeets, and up until last year, I've always kept a pair or two in the shed just for a little variety. Unfortunately, last year a weasel got into the shed and ended that little interest. So I haven't bothered to acquire anymore. I used to keep Shama thrushes, which was nice, and Peking robins, and like I said, a variety of different soft bills. I went through a number of different finches. I don't have much experience with other varieties of hookbills other than the rosy borks. For a short time we kept some parakeets and lovebirds that my daughters both felt they really wanted. but my wife couldn't tolerate the noise, so needless to say, after having them home for a few weeks, they ended up taking the journey to get rehomed down at the local pet shop.
And question 6. What keeps you interested in the hobby?
As to what keeps me interested in the hobby, other than the camaraderie with the fellow breeders, it's the trying to get the birds up to the standards that and improve on the quality of the birds that I have. I also like to do research into the various parts of the hobby, whether it's the history, the food, diseases, breeding, and the little things that one might not be so well versed in. I also get involved with collecting of a few bird items. As a result, I've got this wee library behind me here, where a good percentage of the books are about canaries, and some of them dating back to the 1700s. I also got into collecting stamps, with bird-related stamps, but after I got up to a few thousand of those, I had to curtail my interest, decide what it was that I was trying to do there, and cut back on that. So I got a few nice stamp displays out of that. The other thing that I got into was the collecting of lapel pins, club lapel pins, and that's something that clubs used to have in the past. I've been fortunate by reaching out via the internet to connect with a number of people, and have gotten pins from all over Europe, the UK, and Canada. So that has been a rather interesting venture as well. In Alberta here, I jokingly say that the breeding of birds is a winter sport. So with the majority of the breeders closed in due to our weather outside, they start breeding as early as November and December to get those bands on the babies for the beginning of the year. Myself, I tend to start in mid-February, which means my birds are then producing for March, April, May, which gets me through the worst part of the winter.
So Jay, the final question is, when you're not in your birdroom, what other pastimes or hobbies do you have?
From there, I'm into the spring, and so then I tend to spend my time outside tending to the garden and the flowers and such. I was a chef for over 20 years, so I like to keep my hand in that from time to time by experimenting on the barbecue during the summer, and playing around with some smoked meat recipes and that sort of thing. I was also a carpenter and cabinet maker for over 30 years, and so I now apply those skills to building toys and things for the grandchildren. Okay, thank you very much, David, for inviting me to be on your video series. Take care.
Thank you very much, Jay, for taking part in the Davidsbirdroom Getting to Know.